Welcome to the Laguna Beach Historical Society. We're glad to see you all here tonight despite the World Series. And I think this is more interesting anyway. My name's Ed Stork. I'm president-elect of the Historical Society, and I'm glad to welcome you all here. We're very happy you are here, and we hope that you will join us in our efforts to continue the historical preservation of many items in the history of Laguna Beach. Up here in front, you may see a sign. These are our most generous donors. They have given a lot and for their membership, but you can get a membership for only $25. You don't have to give large amounts like they do. And we'd welcome you as members and as guests and whatever you want to be. We have a display that they're taking down there. I hope you all got a chance to look at it. It was at the Murphy Smith Bungalow, which is our headquarters, until yesterday. It's a history of the Laguna Beach movie theater that recently, as you all know, shut down rather suddenly, much to our dismay. The next monthly meeting of the Laguna Beach Historical Society will be on November 24th, which happens to be the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. It's easy to remember. And the speaker will be Phil Burgundy, who will talk about the Thurston family, and who are very important in the history of Laguna Beach. And he has pictures and other things as well. One other thing I'd like to commemorate tonight, we want to remember this day in history. 22 years ago today, October 27th, 1993, was the Great Laguna Beach Fire. Over 400 homes were damaged or destroyed in not too much more than a 24-hour period. We are thankful to the Laguna Beach Fire Department, Police Department, Lifeguards, and all others who helped during that time. No lives were lost because of everyone's valiant efforts, and we remember that today. Now I'd like to move on and talk about our program tonight. Our speaker tonight, right to my left here, is Kai Weisser. Why did I say Weissner? I know somebody else by that name. Kai Weisser. He's working with the Laguna Beach Lifeguard Association and collaborating on a project to document the rich history of the Laguna Beach Lifeguards. He's currently the president of the Huntington State Beach Junior Lifeguard Association, and has been involved with lifeguards, rescue, life-saving, and all kinds of education during his nearly 30-year career in marine safety. He's the author of Huntington Beach Lifeguards, a book by Arcadia Publishing. Tonight he's going to talk about the history of the Laguna Beach Lifeguards and anything else he wants to talk about. Thank you. So give him a warm welcome.
Thank you, Ed. First of all, how many lifeguards do we have in the crowd here? Laguna lifeguards, raise your hands. Thank you. Are there any lifeguards from other departments that are out here? Yes, thank you. This presentation is a gift to the Laguna Beach Lifeguards. And it cracks my voice to say that I'm able to do this, because it is a huge honor and a privilege to actually do this. I was contacted a couple years ago by my good friends, Mark Klosterman and Kai Bond and Kevin Snow and Kip Kennedy, and they asked me to help them out because I took the courage to write a book on the Huntington Beach Lifeguards. And it is no easy task. So it is a privilege and an honor to be here. You can see that. You want to turn that light down?
She want me to turn that so they can see you until you.
Oh, until I'm done. Okay.
Ready to start now?
I think I'm ready to start. But thank you.
I want to get you on camera.
Yeah. I want to start with the end by saying thank you to all the people that helped me. I can see some of you in the crowd that were so generous in giving me material and support, materials, photos, etc. Carolyn, you started the whole thing with your dad, Ed Hobart. He was such a collector of material and photos and history. It was really the springboard that was pretty much the savior to this project, and I want to thank you personally. Plus, we had a great time reminiscing and going through your materials. You have a great history in Laguna Beach. Phenomenal. And that's what I also found. The lifeguards here are not just lifeguards. They have a rich history here in Laguna Beach. So if your name is up here, I would really like to thank you for helping out on this project. I see Jay Reife's in the crowd. We had a great time at his office, and he shared and reminisced. And it's really about reminiscing about the great days as lifeguards and on the beach in Laguna Beach. Some of these photos that I've collected you can find on Facebook, believe it or not. It is a great medium. I actually manage the page called Vintage Laguna. We have quite a few of the photos that are in this presentation on that website. And then there's the old Laguna lifeguard, you're a Laguna native if. Is there anybody in the crowd that participates with that Facebook webpage? Please raise your hand. Yes, there's many of you. In fact, I was able to pinch quite a few photos off that page. Thank you. There's some great ones. And then there's the blog spot, Old Laguna Lifeguard, that Dale Gear has been managing for years. And he's been fortunate enough to collect stories and verse and remembrances from many of the old lifeguards that are no longer here. I encourage you to go to this webpage, and you will enjoy some of the collections there, which I've actually been able to include in this presentation. Dale, thank you very much. If you would like to contribute further, if you have any questions about these slides, if you have something that needs to be corrected, I encourage you to contact me by email. Also, I have Porter, Laguna Beach Lifeguard. He's sitting up here. Porter, raise your hand, please. He is here that you may contact him and leave your contact information so that we can continue this dialogue. Porter, thank you very much. This is what I started with. This is the scrapbook and collection book of the Laguna Beach Lifeguards. If you knew the old lifeguard headquarters, it was musty, it was wet, and the lifeguards built that way back when, to their credit, because they needed a home. But the elements, they really took a toll on this book. You can see there's only one photograph that's even legible in the very corner that survived the outside cover of this large leather-bound collection of photos. This was my starting point about 3 years ago. One of these photos really caught my eye the other day because I found it. I go, I remember that photo from 3 days ago, and it reminds me of myself being lost on the beach. This could be a lost kid. It could be a lifeguard's kid. I have no idea. Does anybody in the crowd know who this is? Because I would like to know. I was thinking Craig Lockwood might know. Craig, would you please enlighten me for 1 second?
Yeah, his name was Jerry, and we called him Lifeguard 24, I think.
Lifeguard 24. But I'm going to guess this is probably in the 50s?
No.
40s? 60s. It just looks with the pith helmet that he's a little bit older. But
That's it.
I would like someone to please get a hold of Porter and let me know. This is slide what number? Number 5. And again, if there's anything on a slide photo that has a number, do you have something to add, please let me know.
His last name was Chilvers.
Chilvers.
Porter? Yeah. Isn't that right? That's right. Yeah.
What a great photo. You can see the melting of the paper and how time has ravaged this photo, but here we brought it back to you tonight. Thank you. Here we have maybe one of the oldest photos on the beach that I was able to see, and it's 1881. And these photos are priceless. They're priceless. There's obviously there's not even a dirt road where Pacific Coast Highway is. And in my collection, I would find photos that were very similar, and there was a great difference in years or location. For example, this is the same photo, and it says it's Emerald Bay in 1915. Hello? I'm not sure what to think. But this is the challenge that we have when you're trying to recreate or trying to collect photos, and it's not any more evident than those two photos right there. Here we are in 1890. I think we can see the costumes of the day. I think one thing I'd like you to see is, if you look in the front row, there's a rope behind those little kids. This was a post dug in the sand with the line that went offshore, and the swimmers or bathers of the day could wade out away from shore and then pull themselves back in. This is a common practice in the early days. We'll talk about that later. Here we have more bathing suits. You can tell that these are probably not the Laguna locals, but they have created an excellent pose for this photograph. And here are all their sisters or their counterparts. And again, what a great photo. I mean, these really take you back. This is a great photo that I collected off the Facebook page, You're a Laguna Native If, and there were maybe 5 different piers that existed over time in Laguna Beach. And this one was at Woods Cove and Arch Beach. And it's claimed to have been for shipping hay to San Diego. So what a clever situation there. And obviously that pier is not here today. You can see a gentleman standing on the very left-hand side there at low tide. Great Main Beach shot early in the day. There's nothing on the hills. There's no houses. It's a great. It's just hard to imagine what the beach looked like. Here's another one looking farther back. You can see the pier to the right. No roads, no nothing. Imagine what it would be like back then. Here's another point of view. I don't see the pier. So this is either before the pier was built in the 1800s, which I don't think so, but it could be in between when the pier was reconstructed, because it was apparently torn down and rebuilt at least 2 or 3 times, with the last one in 1939. And here's a great panoramic looking a little bit more from the south looking north. Just incredible. How would you like to be driving your car and seeing that today? Here we are with what was called the Stillwater bathing at Aliso. Doesn't look like Aliso at all. and a lot of these photos are so widely spread amongst medium that I don't credit them, because they're just not specifically to any one source. If it is, I'll try and accurately credit the source. This is Divers Cove. Excuse me. Shaw's Cove. And I do need to apologize. I am from Huntington Beach. No excuse. So if anybody would like to, for me to stay at their beach house this summer for a week or two to do some more research, please let me know. I'll leave my kids at home, but I'll bring my wife.
Do you dog sit?
We could probably arrange that. Is it a corgi? And this is a great photo at Broadway, the tent city. It's just hard to fathom that this was here way back when. The Pomona College is that building to the right. And here's one of my favorite postcards, dated 1906. So that photo was probably taken a year or 2 or more before, but what a great photo of the pier right there at Heisler and then Bird Rock. Here we have Joe Jarris, and he was a great family name in Laguna Beach with the lumber yard. 1913. Great photo. It's hard to dispute that date with that kind of writing. Here's another great shot of Main Beach. It says it's 1915. It's hard to say, but I was told that the Nate Brooks house was there, the first house on the left. And then there's an arrow pointing to the hotel there, just up a ways. Here we have, I think it's probably early dirt road with nothing there at El Morro. That's just an incredible shot. When you look at it for a while, you almost are, it's hard to believe that that's actually the same location. I love that photo. And then here, 1926, when Pacific Coast Highway was put in, I imagine this is fresh asphalt, so it must be of that era, again of El Morro, but looking in the other direction. And a lot of these photos you can find on Facebook or Flickr or multiple sources, you know, with the mediums that are out there, these pictures are just multiplying and becoming more frequent. I was fortunate to spend quite a bit of time at the Orange County Archives in Santa Ana, and they have a huge amount of photos, and a lot of the photos came from there. Philip Grandi, who's speaking next month, was working in the Orange County Archives for quite a while. He's since retired. Here's Main Beach. And here, as the lifeguard looking for lifeguard evidence, I don't see the lifeguard tower yet. So since they started in 1929, I'm thinking this is probably before 1929. But you can see all the seaweed. There were reports of just mammoth kelp beds, and when a big storm would show up, it would all wash up on the beach and create a huge mess. In fact, I hear there's a lot of seaweed on the beach right now, but the kelp beds are nothing compared to what they used to be. In fact, this is a kelp harvester off Laguna Beach. I have no idea where I found this, but what a great photo. They used to harvest kelp off Laguna Beach. And it was probably more than just kelp shampoo. I heard that's a good product. So here we are in the 20s, and camping is still permitted on the beach. Not exactly sure when it was not permitted, but here it's still there. Again, there's no lifeguard tower, but you can see the buildings and the structures are changing just a little bit. The big dance hall is not there yet. Thank you, Laguna Beach Historical Society, for that photo. And then we're getting really close to the first lifeguards. And in the memoirs of Ed Hobart, he said that before the tower was built in 29, there were at least 2 volunteer lifeguards. And that was one of my big questions is, well, who was lifeguarding before the lifeguards were there? And when you think about it, the fishermen who are out there in the water as a profession, they're in the boats, in and out of the water, they're probably the most likely watermen to do the job. And sure enough, he writes that Gus and Tony Durkham from the fish market were occasionally responding as lifeguards. And he made this great quote, and you can read it, but it says, "They had no time for suits. Maybe drop seat long johns were the rescue costume." And I really like that. That probably slowed them down a bit. And this is a classic photo. You can see this in quite a few of the establishments in Laguna Beach of the first lifeguard. And I'm going to guess it's been posted that these are the first 2 lifeguards, George Griffith and Jimmy Graham Smith. In 1929, by city council action, they said, hey, we need lifeguards. Let's push for it. And they made it. They hit the gavel, and sure enough, they started lifeguards in 1929. And this is another great photo. It came out of that album, I think, that I showed you earlier. It's hard to tell who is who, but it says that to the far right is Jimmy Smith, and then to the above is George Griffith. So to me, it's a little bit hard to say, but if at some point we can get some better photos of these 2 gentlemen, that would be awesome. And I think their mascot there is that dog on the tower. That was before dogs were not allowed on the towers. And now here we can see that there's evidence of the lifeguard tower on the beach. So this must be the 30s, so I think the credit is accurate. And you can see the pier in the background. So the boardwalk is there, it's looking nice and fresh, and there's a stand in the middle of the beach, and that's the lifeguard tower. And this is probably the earliest crew photo, which I was fortunate to find at the Sherman Library in the Dana and Ginger Lamb papers. And we'll talk a little bit more about Dana Lamb, but he was quite a traveler and pre-Indiana Jones personality, but he was the first lifeguard chief. And this is 1930, and some of the names are not confirmed because he didn't write them down in this particular photo, but you can notice that number 3 is Miss Harriet Shattuck, and we do have a family relative in the audience here of Harriet, so thank you. great, great photo. When the lifeguards saw this, they were extremely excited to find this old original photo with the lifeboat and the pier in the background and these great uniforms on the beach. Great photo. This particular article in 1930 was written by Dana Lamb, and it has all the names of the people that worked on the beach. So it's a great article. Here we have some training. Dana Lamb is in the background, standing over the people demonstrating the rescue method of the day. And we do have names on this one. And this one, Ed Hobart had actually collected all the names. Back then, they had junior lifeguards. Amazing. And that was all started with the American Red Cross, the Laguna Beach chapter, and they had the foresight to do the research and figure out how to take care of business, and they did, much to the credit of lifeguard service then. And we have some more photos, and you can see the tin lifeguard cans that they were kind of dangerous because they were made of metal. And if they hit you, it would not feel good. Unfortunately, they didn't have a better product, but that's what they used. We had quite a few photos from both Ed Hobart, and then also from the Dana Lamb collection. So they kind of overlap, but some of these I have no names. For instance, this photo, Dana is in the middle, and everyone else I don't know. I've been trying to deduce from other photos, but it's quite difficult. So if at any point someone is able to say, oh, I know number 3 or number 4 or number 5, I would really enjoy hearing from you. And as I said, Dana Lamb was quite an adventurer and a character, and this is him hard hat scuba diving just off the Laguna Hotel. And apparently he was looking for sunken treasure, which he ended up doing again in later years. But what a great photo. And this one was tucked away in the Sherman Library, and I just happened to stumble upon it, and I said, I would like that photo. How many people like that photo? That's a great photo.
Yeah, but it's not scuba. That's hose diving.
Yep, it is. I'd like to, I don't think I'd want to do that, though. And here's Ed. Ed was the second lifeguard chief, and he was such a prolific documenter of photographs and stories to where later in the 80s he wrote many, many, many articles. And had he been here just a couple years earlier before Dana Lamb, he probably would have been the very, very, very first. But he really took to lifeguarding. And he was a huge asset to the city. And if of all the people I would have liked to have met, I would have surely liked to have met Ed, because apparently he was full of stories. And the things that he saw in the 30s and the 40s were just incredible. And here's a little bit of a timeline of what he did. A great photo of him in front of the lifeguard tower with the old metal rescue can. These are very rare to have. These are the life-saving patches that they wore on the uniforms, and as I said, they were all under the supervision or management of the American Red Cross. So for the day, that was the body that certified all their life-saving training. And then here we have his National Red Cross training card, which is actually pretty cool, dated 1935. And opening his scrapbook was just a big jump back in time. And here we have 1931, Ed Hobart, Del Schweitzer, Dana Lamb, and Dick Malone. Dick Malone and Ed were good buddies. Some great stories amongst the two of them. And here they are standing in front of their newly built tower in 1932. And the chief then was Jack Blakeney, who later became the police chief. They look nice and squared away and very professional. And here they're kind of having fun. So in between posing for a nice shot, here they are doing their business. And here is Dick Malone riding to work. Or he may have got a sandwich, I'm not too sure, but what a great job. Some of the signage and the things they had on the beach were actually pretty cool. Here they have in bright and big letters, can you swim, learn to swim, sign up now. There's life-saving courses. They're free to everybody. And they're telling you this is what we do when we rescue. If you're drowning, we're going to row there with the boat. We're going to throw something to you. We're going to tow you in. And there were some good stories about how many lifeguards were on the beach to where the point it was really, really safe out there. And I'll get to that in a second. But here's a photo that I found at the archives, and when you look at it, it just looks like an average photo, but when you look at it a little bit closer, it gets a little bit more interesting. This is the same photo, and these flotation devices look a little bit scary, but they're using them like they're like boogie boards. And I found this to be a very interesting photo, and looks like the kids there in the 30s were having a lot of fun. And this is a typical shot in the early 30s. And there's another photo I'm going to show up a little bit later, but there were stories of a raft that was stationed just offshore with the line and buoys, and people would swim out to the raft and hang out. And then for quite often, people would not be able to get back to shore. They'd be rescues. So they abandoned that piece of equipment because it was hazardous. But I've never been able to find a photo of that raft, and I've been asking and asking and asking. And I'll get to that in a minute, but here we have 1932. This is not a surfboard. This is what they called an aquaplane, and I'm not sure if they towed a line with a horse or a vehicle, but this would be on the wet sand within inches of water, and that little metal or the wooden bar you'd put your feet on so you wouldn't slip off, and you would skim on the water. And this one, I'm guessing, was made by Dana Lamb because he was pretty crafty and he was a good word worker, but nobody was building these commercially. They were just built by people there on the beach. I don't think these ladies here were riding them. They were just there for display. And then this is what they called the lifeguard or the surf life-saving mascot. And what a cute photo. I mean, it is really cute. And that they had mascots back there, what a cool thing. I have no idea who this is, but when I later looked further into that 1930 article, they did list a name. And I'm guessing that it's Donnie Meyer. Because they list a senior mascot with that name. So if this rings a bell and anybody's able to find a family member of Donnie Meyer or Mayer, that would be awesome because this may be him. What a pose. And here they are. They're, oh, thank you. A little bit hoarse. I was telling my daughter to clean her room yesterday and I lost my voice. She's a teenager. I'll stop there. So this rescue method, before the Heimlich or before the techniques that we know of today, it was called the Holger-Nelson method of resuscitating or clearing the lungs from a possible drowned victim. Here I've got a great photo of one of the lifeguards, and all I have is the word Buck. So my question to you is, who is Buck? Here we have Harriet Shattuck and Luella Marshall. What a great photo. You can see they're right in front of the tower. You can see the old telephone. And they were able to call, I'm not sure who, if it was the police department or the fire department, but what a great photo. Great uniforms. And a great pose. They integrated the girls and the women very well in the lifeguard operation. I got this photo just last week. And I've had Dell, Schweitzer, and Luella in different pictures, and then this showed up the other day, and I had no clue, but they got married. And I can say that they are probably the first Laguna lifeguards that are a married couple. And that is the cutest photo. Does that look 30s or what? This photo, I think, is pretty popular around town. It's in a couple establishments, the old tower, and then there's Harriet. And she was one of the instructors for the juniors. And yes?
Why don't you have her daughter stand up and let us see her?
Where is she?
Right here.
Would you like to do that? Thank you. We have a relation to Harriet, and the relationship is what again?
Stand up. Harriet is a sister to my mom.
A sister to your mom.
Harriet never did have children. She was married later on in life, but she never married. So she's my favorite aunt.
Favorite aunt. And then I would like to ask, I do recall, and I'm not sure if I'm correct, but was she an avid rower? Because in the mural that's at Lifeguard headquarters is a dory, and there's two people rowing, and one of them is a woman. Is that her, a representation of her?
I don't know for sure.
Okay. I don't know, but I heard that to be possibly true.
I think that was Ingrid and Bruce later on.
Okay. Here's a great close-up of Harriet. And in one of Ed's pictures, with all the medical supplies, ammonia was quite a popular, how would you say, treatment to wake you up. And she was apparently the custodian of the spirits of ammonia. I thought that was pretty cute. Here's Margie Burns, and she was the child swim instructor. That's a great photo. Ed had such a number of quality photos. It was really great to get a hold of those. And here's Ed. What a charming, good-looking man he was. And he's got a brand new clean white guard shirt. He probably had to put that right away because it'd probably get pretty dirty out on the beach. And this is across the street at the Union Oil Station. And if that building looks familiar, it's because they moved it across the street, and it is now the Lifeguard Tower on the sand. So what a great piece of engineering to get it across the street. And apparently it moved across in 1937. Again, thank you, Ed, for that photo. Here they are. They're training in their surf boat and rescue tube. And here they are taking out the line. So the method would be to go out to get the victim on the line, and then the people on the beach would pull the line back in and bring the victim back to shore. And here they are with their oars and their dories. And if you notice that the oars on the right are longer than the oars on the left, it's because the style of rowing at that time was just a little bit different. The stern man would actually face the bow and stand up, so his oars would be shorter, and the bow man would be bearing his back in and would be rowing a little bit longer, as you can see in this picture here. They're facing each other, and that was the style to punch through the surf. These boats were very, very, very heavy, not of the light construction that you would see today. And here we have a rescue demonstration in 1932. And apparently Harriet was the volunteer victim in that rescue demo. And this is a great photo. In 1933 at Divers Cove. And one of the stories that's attached to this is that just previous to this, men were not allowed to wear anything that less than a shirt and shorts. So bare-chested was illegal by city ordinance. So Ed didn't like that, obviously. So here, just shortly after the repeal of that ordinance, there was Ed. And here's Ed without a shirt once more. But Ed was a great supporter of the Festival of Arts, And here in 35, he was one of the posers for one of the living art pictures. What a great photo. I'm not sure, but I think they painted him or spray painted him in bronze, and he had to hold this pose. Later, he became a life member of the Festival of Arts. So what a great participation. One of my favorite scenic shots of the pier with the cloud cover and just crisp, clean photo. And it was a winner of a photo contest by the Chamber of Commerce. I'd found the article and was looking for the photo, and one day the photo showed up. Sometimes I had the photo, and then the article showed up, and that was kind of the adventure that we had in this production. I thought this was great. David Tompkins, or Keyhole, who was a lifeguard, a phenomenal surfer, as was his son David, or brother Tompkins. Well, this was just a little snippet in his photo album, and it was about the Laguna Beach High School and how they were the breakers from the very beginning, and then for some reason they were the artists for years and years and years. And guess what happened in 2003? They are now the breakers again. And I think that's pretty cool. I'm a Charger. I was from Huntington Beach, and I went to Edison High School. Bud Kerrigan was here in the early days. He and Ed were good friends. Here's a picture of him at Divers Cove, and here he talks about when he first moved to Laguna Beach. I'll take a moment and you can read that. Great little story. Would you like me to read it? Okay. It says that my parents built the third house in Three Arch Bay in 1926. We spent the summers with my father commuting from Hollywood on the weekends. There were no paved roads. The area was so lonely and isolated that my mother demanded that we move to Laguna Beach, where they had a grocery store, and a drugstore, and the Bird's White House Cafe. Yep. In 1930, they built a home at 235 Calliope above Fisherman's Cove. The entire area was unpaved and virtually open fields up to Emerald Bay. There were less than 50 homes in North Laguna. And this is a great story that you can find on oldlagunalifeguardblogspot.com that's managed by Dale Gear. Thank you, Dale. Here, Dana Lamb, who was the lifeguard chief for the city of Laguna Beach, decides to get married in 1933, and then a couple months later he takes off on this adventure in a 16-foot canoe down to South America. And he wrote a book about it. It later turned into a movie. And I found again on the blogspot, Bud Kerrigan writes about his observation of when Dana Lamb left. And it says, Dana quit in the 30s to try and kayak to Panama, and maybe with great fortune, make it all the way to Chile. He had a tiny trysail, 2 sets of paddles, a crystal radio, and a sterno stove, 2 large jugs of water, and a box of canned goods. He planned to stop at beaches at night and live off the land. He forgot to mention that he's married and he has his wife on this little boat. In 1933, a reporter from the Santa Ana Register was at Divers Cove as we pushed him into the water. I like this part. His first venture ended at Oceanside. The second time, he got as far as Ensenada, and we never heard from him again. Oh, that was pretty good. But actually, he does come back, and we'll share about that. So when he does come back, he doesn't work for the city of Laguna Beach, but he ends up getting the Orange County Board of Supervisors to start what's called the Coast Patrol. And here I have a little bit of rundown of his life story. Born in 1901, etc., chief lifeguard in Laguna. And when he comes back from that long canoe ride, he becomes the chief from 1937 to 1939. And then right around 1940, he takes off again on another trip and is like missing in action. During his trip on that particular trip during the war, he becomes friends with FDR because he's been doing these Indiana Jones type of presentations and talks all around the country, and they commandeer him to be a spy in Mexico. And he does all sorts of other things, but he is quite an interesting character. He makes a movie with RKO Pictures. He ends up in New Mexico. He does one last trip to Micronesia just before he passes. The one thing I did note was that for years and years and years, it was claimed that he was related to Richard Henry Dana, who had written the book in 1840, 2 years before the mast, and for whom Dana Point was named after. And apparently that was a misnomer, so he is not related to Richard Henry Dana. And I was just about to publicize that false fact, and I was corrected, and I'm glad that I did, because that has been going on for years and years. Here he is in the back of his Coast Patrol vehicle, and he's inspecting the oxygen tanks. And for the day, they were extremely professional and well outfitted and uniformed, and they were under the jurisdiction of the Orange County Sheriff. His wife, Ginger, was the dispatcher. And they were located, their headquarters was at Gough Island or Treasure Island. In fact, the next photo is here at Treasure Island, and there's the Coast Patrol vehicle, and their canoe is resting from voyage number 1, soon to be voyage number 2. This particular canoe is called the Vagabunda, and it is currently on display in the lobby of the Adventures Club in Los Angeles. And this photo came from the Jimmy Adcock collection, which was a presentation with the Historical Society maybe 2 years ago. And Jimmy had lived at Gough Island for the summer and was recruited and became a lifeguard for that summer with Dana Lamb, and had some great photos and were overlapping with this whole research project. So what a great find that was. So to get an idea of the patrol area for the Orange County Coastal Patrol, it was from the LA County line to San Clemente. Huge amount of territory. So you can see the map here. We're down here in Dana Point, San Clemente. You can see the old pier at Dana Point, and then going up to Laguna Beach. And I can't see it very well, but you can see they've got the guard stations all numbered. And he would manage and make sure that they would report on duty every morning during the summer. And then here they are up Laguna Beach all the way to Newport. They had a station inside the bay, and I think they had a station at the river jetty in Newport Beach, or the river jetty at Newport and Huntington. At that time, between the river jetty and Beach Boulevard, that was unincorporated non-Huntington Beach city. So there were no lifeguards there, and so the county provided service there. And then here the remaining part, all the way to Sunset Beach. You can see Sunset Beach actually has a pier. And there in the very, very left, you can see the Seal Beach Pier. So there were 2 piers there. Obviously, the Sunset Pier is gone. But what a huge jurisdiction for them to patrol for the several years that he was there, from 1937 to 1940. Some incredible documentation on that service. In this particular report that he writes after year 1, you can see the names of the people that were stationed up and down the coast. So there's probably quite a few Laguna names that you might recognize. Nogle, is it Sam Nogle? He was there at Gough Island, and they were managing the campground there, where their headquarters was. William Walter, towards the bottom of the page, he ends up on the city beach as one of the lifeguard captains for Laguna City Beach. And then the very bottom, they talk about some training and where they went, and one of the training locations was at the plunge at the Huntington Beach Pier. So I imagine that the chief, Bud Higgins, was training the lifeguards of the day. A great photo of the sheriff's call car. The sheriff's on the left, the lifeguards on the right, and that's El Morro. Here they've got some brand new rescue cans all lined up, fresh, brand new. The vehicle, the case on the beach where they can house the can. Extremely professional and clean for the day. Very, very impressive. I'm not exactly sure where this is, but I think it might be in the Salt Creek area. Unfortunately, I have no names for this, but it's a great photo. This must be the same location because you can see the same stair step. But here they are demonstrating on a towel the oxygen delivery device, and they're showing this for some kind of display. It might have been for a report. I'm not exactly sure. This may be at Gough Island, and I think I recognize the far right. That might be Jimmy Adcock, who had the presentation here about 2 years ago. His daughter had written a nice book with a good part of that book dedicated to him being on Laguna Beach. Possibly the first skimboard in Laguna Beach. Is Tex here tonight?
Yes.
Where's Tex? There you are. Hi, Tex. Have you seen this picture?
No, that's cool. Where is it?
This is Bud Kerrigan, and can you tell me, Mark Klosterman, where this is?
Bud said it was a Divers Cove.
Yeah. It's either Divers or Picnic, yeah.
No, it's Divers Cove.
So they say it's Divers Cove. A little bit of a blurry photo, but this could be one of the first photos of true skimboarding. And I'm glad that you're here, Tex, to check that out. I got some more photos for you. This is a great photo. Mike Morris was a lifeguard, and he was fortunate to have a nice camera. And this is after the big Chubasco that roared up the coast and destroyed the Laguna Beach Pier, and probably many others up and down the coast. But here we are with the last piece of Laguna Beach Pier. And I don't know who this person is, but what a great photo. And again, from the Morris collection, they're going to make a nice, smooth landing at Divers Cove, which is not easy, considering this is what you have to do to get out. And even more challenging is that there's only one man in the boat. And this is the stern man punching through the surf. He could easily miss this with just a bit of an off timing, and they could be going backwards, and it would not be a pretty picture. But what a great photo. Mike was super excited, just like many people who donate their photos, that these things were so silent for many years, and here they are today getting a breath of fresh air. Again, from the land papers, this is Crystal Cove, and they're doing some training, and part of the Coastal Patrol was at Crystal Cove. And here they have some more equipment with the kook box paddle boards, their bulletin board, and the box for the lifeguard can. And this is one of the pages from Jimmy Adcock, where he was there at the summer of 1937, and he chronicles how he met Dana and Ginger Lamb, and that they were lifeguards, etc., and then they took off on their great voyage down south. This is Mrs. Nogle, and she is checking people into the campground at Gough Island. Here they are on the beach. Looks like Ginger Lamb's on the far left, and then daughter of Nogle, Hazel Nogle, and then Jimmy Adcock. Here they had this cool little invite for a party dinner type of barbecue. He's got a huge halibut, so I'm sure there's plenty of fresh seafood. And it was so good they had to, draw pictures or do some artwork on these things called sea jewels. And I asked one of my kids, do you know what that is? And they said, no. That's an abalone. And there's some more abalone. This is courtesy of Jay Rife. And this is what abalone used to look like in the day. And it was a great way to not only make a living, but supplement your meals. And abalone now is well over $100 a pound, if you can find it anywhere. It's basically, it's hard to find. I miss those days. How many people, when was the last time somebody had abalone here? It's been a while. Okay, somebody, all right, put your hand down. Here's a cool photo. Again, I think at Gough Island, paddleboard, 25 cents an hour. Looks like got some nice fish there. That might be a barracuda, is that right? Here we are looking at Gough Island, looking from the ocean a little bit. Pretty cool. And we're going to leave here, I think, and go back to the city beach. And here we have the 1937 lifeguard crew, and fortunately we have all the names, which is great because so many of the photos from pre-50, we have a hard time with names. This is a great photo. I think it's 1939, but number 3 from left to right is Hevs, Brennan Hevs McClelland, a young Hevs. So what a great find. I had no idea that was Hevs. And of the other people I would have loved to have met, I would have loved to have met Hevs because he was extremely entertaining. And what a great guy. I've heard so many stories. So what a great photo. Here they are posing, and these are, I think I get to it in a second, but anyways, this is the second book that he writes, Dana Lamb. He leaves abruptly in 1940, and the Long Beach Press-Telegram says this: the Orange County Board of Supervisors still undecided as to when and who will lead the Orange County Coast Patrol Lifeguard Service. It was understood until recently that Dana Lamb would assume command again this year, but he and Mrs. Lamb left 2 weeks ago for the jungles of Mazatlan, Mexico, in search of the lost city of the Mayas. Thank you. So the board, they authorized 2 deputies to be hired by May, and they're likely to be Alan Hansen of Laguna Beach and C.E. Chamberlain of Sunset Beach. So that was kind of a cool article that I was able to slip in here. Go Dana Lamb, go write another book, do another movie. This looks like 44, and we're starting to get a few more names, but we are still missing names. And I don't have a photo credit on this, but I believe this just came out of the lifeguard archives. And this is obviously during the war, so these are kids. All the adults are gone, or most of the adults are gone. So just like the majority of the lifeguard services up and down the coast, they had to rely on the younger kids, probably high school kids, to protect the beaches. And here we are possibly a year later, and we see Charlie Plummer and Tom Duger, Jim Purcell, Don Briscoe, a good friend of Keyhole. We'll see him in a couple other photos. And the chief at that time was W.C. Myers in white. And you can see how close the tower, or how the boardwalk and all the establishments are so close behind the lifeguard tower. It's kind of cool to see what's happening there. So here we have in 46, this is a little bit clearer of a photo. This one is from the Tompkins family. And we're fortunate to, I think, have only 1 or 2 names missing. Great photo. And here's a classic. Everybody likes this one. This was a postcard called Fun in the Sun. And you can see this in quite a few publications. And there's Herb. And Herb is still with us. He's not doing as well as we'd like. Daughter, where's daughter? Thank you. How's Herb doing?
He's hanging in there. He's ready to be here.
How old is Herb?
He's 90.
90. And we have another 90-year-old, Jimmy Flynn. Where's Jimmy? There you are. Jimmy Flynn is here. So we have 2 90-year-old lifeguard veterans. That's amazing. Again, in 46, we have David Tompkins and Captain Parkin Cosby, and you can see now we have evidence of markings on their lifeguard trunks, and Parkin actually has the word captain on his trunks. This is a typical lobster of the day. I think you need a pot big enough for that, and I don't think I have one. That's called a bull lobster. So today, if you saw that, you might want to put that back. Keep reproducing. We need you out there. Here we have Keyhole with 2 fine lobsters. And then you can see that the mask of the day is a homemade or an impromptu production before there was a production mask. And I was informed or helped with Greg Lockwood that this might be from Mr. Rodecker, and they were made from materials from the offshore commercial shipping venues. And my notes were a little bit scribbly, so I'm not sure if I was accurate on that. But anyways, they had to engineer and make these masks by hand because you couldn't buy them at the store. And you definitely need masks. And here he is cleaning his nice collection of abalone, and I think I see a lobster or two in there. Yeah. And this is Peanuts Larson with a bull lobster off Boat Canyon. And there are quite a few more photographs in the book called Peanuts, and that was authored by Craig Lockwood, a great look back at Laguna Beach, focusing primarily on peanuts. I told you there'd be somebody naked in this one because lifeguards like to get naked. But here they are. It must have been a hot, muggy day that day. So he had to lighten the costume. But here they are. They're taking out all the abalone and all the lobster that they probably spent the good morning or afternoon collecting. And it could have been a commercial venture. It could have been for a big party, for whatever function. But it looks to me like there was an abundance of sea life at that particular time. And here they are at an abalone feed in San Clemente. And does it look like they're having fun? They're probably eating, well, just lots of good food. Lifeguards were surfers. And here's a great photo of Salt Creek. And most of these gentlemen are lifeguards or friends of lifeguards. And this is a classic photo that's gotten quite a bit of coverage in a variety of media. And this comes from the Tompkins family. Could be one of the same boards, but here we have a keyhole to the far right and Parkin in the middle and Unknown to the left. But you can see the boards of the day, and this is apparently Doheny. And this is Mr. and Mrs. Tompkins, Paula and David. What a great photo on the beach. This one came from the Surfing Heritage, and it's lifeguard Bob Kellogg, who's a great surfer and paddler, and here he's got a nice lobster and looks like some abalone on his board. It's a great photo. 1949, there's a great article in the newspaper. I was able to document all the names for quite some time. I just had the photograph and only one or two names, and boom, this photograph with names shows up. And apparently this particular summer, they weathered all the activity and had no drowning, so they had a perfect record that year. Congratulations. Here we are at PCH in El Morro, 50s. What a great photo. There's nothing on the cliff there. Here we are at Main Beach with the Hotel Laguna. What a great photo. You can see the nice deck that's in front of the lifeguard tower. And this photograph walked into lifeguard headquarters about 2 weeks ago. We had the newspaper clipping, we had no photograph, and let me see, what's the name? Oh, the Anderson family, Norman's son, Garrick Anderson, came in with this photo, and phenomenal. So here we have all the names in a great crisp picture, and Jimmy Flynn, you're in that picture, front and center. My first color photo. And what a winner. Isn't that a great photo? When we saw that, we could not stop looking at the screen because people were saying, is that what it used to look like? Is that really what it used to look like? In those great white shorts with a black patch. Are those stunning? In that banana yellow suit. What a great photo. This is the logo, the city logo that was used from 1927 to 1952. This photo walked into Lifeguard headquarters about 2 years ago, thanks to Jimmy Flynn. Excuse me? Winky. Yep, there's Winky. Is Winky here today? There you are. Hello. Remember me? Yay, Winky. What great times. There's a couple other photos. I couldn't put them in here because they were doing the one-finger salute. But that was a pretty popular thing in the day. And here we have Bob and Vernie and Jimmy. Probably same area, 1952. What a great photo. Jimmy, you got a great six-pack there. And Jay was fortunate, or was kind enough to give us quite a few photos. And here is Jay as a young boy. He's exiting the surf in quite a good manner with the catch of the day. He's going to bring that home. Excellent. 53, I believe. And I don't know if he's in this particular photo. I don't think so. Or maybe he is. Are you in that, Jay? And here they are. They're possibly the sea cubs, but they're ready for some pool time with their aqualungs. What a great photo. What a great photo. What pool was that?
It was up there, Marina Del Rey.
In Marina Del Rey. They had a club called the Sea Cubs. And here we've got a nice sheep head. That's a great photo. And here we have the rubber suit. We're going to try and keep the cold out. But it really looks like it was worth it because look at those lobster. I would imagine it was hard to get into that suit and probably twice as hard to get out. And here we are with the competition on the beach, and they would go out and have a timed event and see who would bring back the biggest catch of the day. And Jay, what was the name of that event?
I don't know which one that was, but it could have been the Pacific Coast Spearfishing Championships.
Is that what the Neptunes, Jay?
Well, it was the Neptunes and all the other ports at the same time.
But you can see that their flotation devices are just basically inflatable rafts. And they would have their spear gun in the raft, and boom goes the whistle. You got to come back with a certain amount of time, and then they would weigh the bounty and see who was the winner. What a great thing! This was the home, the starting ground of that here in Laguna Beach. A great history of that. This is a 2x2 photo that ended up on Facebook, and I pursued it, and at first sighting, there were absolutely no names. And then we got one name, and then we got two names, and then I got the owner of the photo. And Jim Allen said, oh, that was in Hawaii. I was in Hawaii for 20 years, and it was sat on the board, and I'm surprised it even made it back home, but I have it. But it's only a 2x2 photo. But it's a great photo. And he and his brother are in there, in addition to lifeguard Al Smith standing, and they're at Victoria Beach. What a great photo. Here we are in 55, the first annual Brook Street. What a great tradition. I heard the contest this year was, last week or the week before? The water was 70 degrees in late October. And you can see Hobie Alter, he won the paddleboard race, and Rennie Yater was there, and Larry Brixby won the surf contest. What a great photo. And this is thank you to the Surfing Heritage. It's hard to see this, but here's the heat sheet for the day. And you can see all the names. Can you guys see those names okay? Is that? It's kind of hard, yeah. Yep. Phil, I just talked to Phil earlier today. Phil, where are you? There you go, yeah. I just talked to Phil. What a great photo. That was 1959. I was born that year, so I wouldn't fit in that picture. But nice crew cut right in front of the headquarters, and Westguard, huge family name and tradition. What a great photo for that family.
That's Kellogg's brother next to Westguard.
Where's that?
Next to Westguard to our left is Ben Kellogg.
Yes, I have Ben Kellogg. I have Brayton and then Ben. This particular photograph, I think, was pretty well documented. But if there are any corrections, again, Porter, raise your hand. If you want to save slide number, what is that, 133? Just let me know, and we can take some info, and we'll go from there. Believe me, I'm not perfect. I've collected some photos and have no idea who they are. I know way more than when I started, but I'm only a little bit dangerous now because I know some information. 1960, great photo. Jay, you're in this photo. Cunningham, you're in this photo. Dale, you're in this photo. Anybody in this photo, raise your hand. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Excellent. Very good. Very good. Here's a great photo. That's what lifeguards did. We're off duty. We're going to go get some lobster. 1960. Oh, I love this photo. Jay, you told me the greatest story. Yeah, they said we need a fish. Oh, I went out and I got one. It was so big I had to get a stretcher to bring it back. How many people were going to be at the luau? I think we got it covered. What a great... Yeah, Jay, you got a great smile on your face too. That's a great photo. All these kids behind you, they're going, wow, look at that.
God, he's wearing his guard trunks and that.
Is he?
Yeah, look at
Okay.
I
Yeah.
needed some help to get the fish out of the back of the pickup truck.
We're going to have a chance for some questions in a while, but this is being recorded and it's on cable. When you talk out there, we can't get it. So when we have questions, we'll bring the microphone to you in a few moments.
How are we doing on time?
We're getting near the end.
Okay. And obviously, Jay was a great waterman, and he is one of the leading producers internationally of spear gun equipment, Rife International. Here we are in 61. They guard your beaches. We have all these names. You can see the paddle boards. I just got this photo the other day, Ron Sizemore. This is the Huntington Beach Pier. Leroy Granis took this photo, and I didn't know it, but he was related to the Sizemore family. Small world. Here you can see the rescue equipment of the day. These tubes are actually inflatable, and it was the precursor to the Pete Peterson tube, or actually it was an early Pete Peterson tube. Junior guards, gosh, I wish I knew who they were. Oh, there they are. All these names, you can see the tube, and we have Paul Goffas. He was the junior guard instructor right then. This photo came in just recently, and here they are teaching the kids CPR. 1963, great photo. 1965, great photo. Hobie was an integral supporter and part of the lifeguards as far as surfing. When I started lifeguarding, there was two kinds of lifeguards, those that surfed and those that did not. So surfing was a huge part of the lifeguard culture. This picture's in the Orange County Airport. In the bar there's a picture of young Hobie with these halibut. Here's a great picture of a young and strong Hobie. Here's his shop in Dana Point. Here's Dick Metz in the shop, Hobie shop in Hawaii. Dick Metz and Hobie were good friends. Obviously the catamaran's a huge part of the Hobie product, and here they had a great function on the beach. Apparently this didn't happen again. It took over the beach. And there's a great book. If you haven't got the book, I highly suggest it. It's awesome. Wardy Surfboard's also a great supporter of the lifeguards. Here is Wardy in 1961. His shop was on Forest Avenue. I had no photos, but Tracy Sizemore gave me this photograph, or excuse me, this artist production of the shop. And what a great piece of artwork that is of the Wardy shop. And here's a Wardy advertisement. Ron Sizemore's in there. They're dressed really nice for this photo. Clever advertising in this piece of artwork. All the names of the board riders are embedded in this artwork. Pretty clever. A funny advertisement of the greatest surfer of all time, Clarence Clubfoot in 1880 or something like that. Just a great sense of humor. And here someone asked me, here's George. For the longest time, I did not know who this was. But when you look at the raft on the far left, it has his name right on there. But he was an integral part of the beach and a friend to many of the lifeguards and the locals. 1960s, Danny Scholl, one of the lifeguards. What a specimen, what a gymnast, and what an athlete, great surfer. And here he does a quick handstand. And Craig Lockwood, I'm not sure if that's your photo or not, but somebody quickly got a photo of that. A nice sunfish. Eugene DePaulus in 63 got a few lobster that day. You think he's happy? Here's some junior lifeguard training, 65. Pretty cool, we have some names with that. Skimboarding, 65. Brook Street, Surfing Heritage Foundation. Here's some land skimboarding. I thought that was a clever shot. This guy up there, I think he's rubbing his elbows. He got maybe a couple abrasions. Here's the crew of 65. Tracy, you were having a great time the other day with that, with all your buddies. Again, here's an inter-squad crew. They would have split into sections and they would compete against each other. This particular team called themselves the Sea Slugs. Here is Hevs. He was an integral part of the Surfing Association, started it. He was an announcer in Hawaii. And here he is in an advertisement in the magazine. It was obviously a spoof article, but it says here, let Makapu Mooks build you into a He-Man skimboard champion. I can make you a skimboard champion in less than 60 seconds, says Hevs. What a great artist. He was apparently a really funny guy. I could go more in detail, but I think I'm running out of time. 67, the Surf Club, Laguna Beach Surf Club, Woods Cove. There's a couple people in the room here. Craig, you're in this picture. I'd like to thank Art Brewer for giving me permission to use this photo. I have no idea if this is out here, but Tracy, you were going to let me know. Is this Laguna or not?
I wasn't going to tell you. I wasn't on the wave. You said it was Ron.
Excuse
You were on the wave? Not me.
It's a great photo. Here we have the rookie squad in 1969. On the blog spot, Old Laguna Lifeguard, there's a great article about these kids. They're not kids anymore, obviously. Here's Eugene in 69 with a nice lobster. I'm going to speed up just a little bit. Jack Linke, a phenomenal athlete. I believe Jack was a lifeguard for the State Beach, for Huntington Beach, and Laguna Beach, and Newport. Phenomenal athlete, and was the builder and designer of Laguna Beach paddleboards. Is that correct? Yeah. This is a great photo. It's just this glassy water, and that is somebody on a surf mat. Surf mat. Remember the surf mats? Boy, if you didn't have a t-shirt on or a rash guard, you would be in trouble. Here's another great shot, and this photo is credited to Spider, but I got this from the Surfer magazine with permission. Great photos. Aliso Pier, 1971, coming up. This logo was on many t-shirts that the lifeguards made over the years, and it is by Richard Krantz. This one I had to sneak in because it's 1975 in Huntington Beach. That was me when I was a junior lifeguard. And I'm on the very far left next to my instructor, Mr. Ray Bray. And I was a pretty skinny blonde-haired kid with a sunburnt face. But that was the first year we had girls in the program. And Ray Bray was my mentor, as mentor to many other lifeguards, and they dedicated the junior lifeguard building to him. And I dedicated my lifeguard book, Huntington Beach Lifeguards, to Ray Bray. So I just had to sneak that in there. This is the 1975 rookies here in Laguna Beach, and the gentleman to the far right, John Brick, we went to high school together and played polo, and he was a great lifeguard here in Laguna Beach and doryman. Great photo. Here we have a crew of, what does it say, 16 people. They go to LA County and they race 4 paddlers, 4 swimmers, 4 dorymen. And huge competition, and Laguna Beach did really well. Victoria Beach, and I'm not sure if I got that date correct, but this is a great photo, great color. The crew, young and old and in between, ready to go and shred on the shore break, all under the watch of lifeguard Mark Klosterman. I've seen this photo in Mark's house. It's a great photo. I don't know anything about this photo. It was an unknown photo, unknown source, but what a great photo. Text, have you seen this photo before? Maybe. What a great photo, though. Now I'm just going to get to kind of some fun shots, and we're going to get in the current area, but the major focus of my research was pre-60s, but these are just fun shots. Here's the old Lifeguard PBX Dispatch Center, which a lot of the lifeguard departments had up and down the coast. No longer in service. A great shot on the beach. Love those white hats. This is the lifeguard dory, the 2-man. And in 1981, Laguna Beach was the host of the United States Life-Saving National Lifeguard Championships, a huge event. So lifeguards from all across the U.S. came here. Here's John Brick and Rob Patterson paddling the dory. Here's some training after some rookie school on a multi-casualty scenario. This is what the lifeguard trucks looked back in the 70s. They look nice, ready to go. And here we have a display of all the rescue equipment, medical equipment. This boat did not fare very well. The deck delaminated from the bottom part of the boat, but this is what's left. So as what we call other related duties, this is one of them. Phenomenal athletes here. Paddle relay team, Billy Brown, Tom Redwitz, Jeff Tressel, and Tom Grindle. This is what one of these major swims look like in front of the beach. Kurt Westgard at Aliso. Do you have this picture, Tex? That's a great shot. Here is Mark back in the day. Probably just had a cup of coffee. They're ready to talk about, all right, what are we going to do today? And if you can't tell, but this is actually in February, according to the chalkboard. So it must have been a nice Santa Ana day, early winter. Here's Chief Lifeguard Bruce Baird, and Mike Gowan, Jack Linke, Tom Redwitz. And then actually I can tell who's in the tower. You may not, but it's Rod Reel and Charlie Ware. Craig Lockwood here was a producer of the paddleboard Waterman. It was a very high quality board that was popular up and down the coast in the 80s. Long distance paddling made a huge resurgence. We bought a couple of them down there in Huntington. Oh, look at Tom Traeger. He's got a nice check from winnings at one of the skimboard contests. And he says, thanks, Tex. And he made it on the cover of Sports Illustrated. The first time a skimboarder, and actually by accident, when I researched it, they didn't realize it was a skimboard. They thought he was a surfer. So what a great photo. And this one was found early in the day as far as seeing photos, and it's just a great photo. There's a little story to it, but he was a popular local entity, and what a great photo. 88, the storms, we had quite a bit of damage, and this is what it looked like between waves or during waves. Great postcard. Marva Dunbar let me use this photo. And obviously after all that damage, you got a little bit of repairs. Paddling is a huge part of lifeguards training and how they do their job out here. Great crew photo. This is a great sponsor photo of Tom Traeger. That's just a great photo. I really like that one. And that's even better. I could stare at this one all day long, but what a beautiful color that is. And that is Laguna Beach, El Morro. And Grant Ellis was kind enough to let me use that for this photo. If he lets me use it for the book, we'll see about that. Here they're doing some training, and this is the Maw at Woods Cove. I've heard this name and I never knew what the Maw was until I saw this photo. Looks like a fun spot. I'll tell my wife to stay away from there. We're going to really close it up here pretty soon here, but yes, Medal of Valor. During the mudslides, El Nino in '88, which we might get some more mudslides this year, I hope not, but the lifeguards were an integral part of rescuing people in the mudslide, and the United States Life Saving Association gave these gentlemen, your Laguna Lifeguards, the Medal of Valor. In '99, John Parlett and Lou, they came up with this beautiful bronze sculpture called Down the Line in memory of their good friend, Brennan Hes McClellan. Great bronze statue, and it is now located in lifeguard headquarters, and this is what it looks like in real life. It's a beautiful structure. It's really big. It's really cool. Here's a friend of lifeguards, of many lifeguards, and a good friend of Craig Lockwood's, but Larry Capune has paddled more miles than anyone else in the world. And here he is with a classic photo. I could not miss the opportunity to put this photo in the slideshow with the Twin Towers. But he logged over 16,000 miles paddling, and most of them by himself, East Coast and West Coast. What a great photo.
56,000 total.
56,000 total? Oh, I need to change that.
Both coasts of the United States twice.
Ouch. He said it wasn't, not 16,000, but 56,000. Oh my. That is phenomenal. That is amazing. There's the Great Catalina Crossing that lifeguards have paddled on paddleboards for years and years and years. Well, they also have a dory, two-man dory race that is part of that event. And here we have this boat entering LA Harbor, clearing the Angel's Gate. And it is actually your Laguna lifeguard, Kip Kennedy, and LA County lifeguard, John Matisich. Here's a great crew photo. 1999, your junior lifeguards of Laguna Beach. What a great group of kids. Obviously the future for the lifeguards. And there they are doing what they do best. You gotta love that photo. And these are probably the same kids a couple years later. And here's the chief laughing at them, going, yeah, keep it up, guys. I'm not laughing at it, laughing with them. This is one of the things that really was a mind blower for me, that you can actually have a scuba class go out on a day like this. This is what we call in the business job security. Unfortunately, because this is not something anybody wants to see, because somebody can die in a situation like this. Scott Dietrich has been lifeguards for years. I went to one of his classes, a cliff rescue class, and every once in a while they're going to have to pull off a cliff rescue, so they need to train so they don't get hurt. Here they're doing some training, and that's Kai Bond, I believe. Great photo. Here they are pulling people out of the water. That's a great shot. Scott Dietrich is probably one of the longest competing lifeguards that Laguna's had. Phenomenal athlete in all age divisions, in the younger division, older, and now getting to be one of the older divisions. But here he is in action. This is not very common, but it does happen. They'll have to life flight somebody off the beach. And here you can see this probably quite often, where they're going to needs some medical attention with the assistance of the fire department. Here we have the old lifeguard building with the dedication to Dean Westgard. That's a great shot. And this is the current building. And this is actually a rendition I found on the computer, but this is pretty much what it looks like. And Kip Kennedy had this artist, Jim Krogel, make this creation with dories, paddleboards, and lifeguard building. Here we have the main tower, probably the most popular structure, definitely in Laguna, but as far as beach structures, probably in Southern California. This is what it looks like on the inside if you've never seen it before. This must be 4th of July. Mitch Ritter, former lifeguard photographer, was kind enough to give me these pictures. And that's it. There you go.
Thank you very much, Kai. That was a wonderful presentation. We've kind of run over time, but I hope if you have to go, but maybe we can have a couple of group questions. But if you're going to do it, this is going to be on a DVD. In fact, it'll be available at the headquarters of the Laguna Beach Historical Society, which is the Murphy Smith Bungalow on Ocean, between the Wells Fargo Bank and the Whole Foods. And we're open on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 1 to 4 p.m., and we hope to have these DVDs available in a while. But for those of you who want to stay, we'll take a couple questions, but you got to speak into the microphone or we will never get on a DVD.
The program will also be available on YouTube. You can search for Laguna Beach History just a few days from now.
I was going to mention one other thing here, give a commercial while I'm at it. Our headquarters down there is a home that was built in 1923. And we appreciate all the people who are members. But we're in the process of, we have to get a new roof on our house down there. So anybody wants to leave any contributions in the back, we appreciate that. And we're glad you all came tonight. Let's try a couple of questions. And those of you who have to leave, go right ahead, and then we'll wind it up.
Questions?
Quickly, somebody take the microphone.
Questions?
I just got to tell a quick story that I think you'll enjoy. I was at the Sandpiper having a beer, and Winky sits down next to me. And he said, well, I'm glad that you don't play volleyball down there at Coast End Beach. I said, oh, no, I never play volleyball. I watch the water. The next day, he comes down the beach with a cigar and sees me playing volleyball. I just got in a game unthinking, and I turned out to be a bald-faced liar. So I want to apologize to you right now, Mr. Butcher.
You're still lying. I have nothing to say.
Is there anyone else? If not, we can stay for a while and have some informal questions. We appreciate all your being here tonight, and let's give Kai a round of applause for his program.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you all for coming. We hope you'll see you at the bungalow and at some of our other programs as well. Good night. If you want to stay around for informal conversation, we have a little more time for that.